Many of our manufacturing customers have begun the transition to our visual active dashboards as a more engaging and streamlined process for their end users. Having the ability to set top-down targets, whether at the aggregate or at the location level, allows planners to now create budget entries within our active dashboard environment while simultaneously having the ability to measure any impacts to that target that is set in real time. Very powerful for an end user that consumes data more so in a visual perspective than in a tabular or table format, like those of us with a deep finance background. And I kind of want to give you a sense of that, okay? So, be a short video. Here we're looking at a current view of the entire organizational structure at the top level, monthly view of the target, what the anticipated plan is currently built up, total current target right now for our revenue plan is exceeded at 107%, where we're looking at an annual expense target a little bit over exceeding this budget here of 108%. And notice we can look at this by expense, workforce, revenue, etc. But what happens if we get a little more granular and look at each line of business by location? So I'm just going to pick on sales east in this instance, and we're going to begin to see the targets and the plans that they've built up. 120% of revenue, that's great. But if we're only 85% of our expense target, do we have the capacity to reach these sales goals? From an expense perspective, so that's our 120. From an expense perspective, we begin to see our targets, and it looks like we're a little bit below throughout the year for most part of the year. So let's try to get an understanding why. Start with workforce. So we see the same targets and where our shortfalls are probably going to come, and we begin to see the value compared to prior year by quarter in this instance. But if I look a little deeper, we see that Liam Ward has retired. We're going to move Nico up to a manager role, and let's say we need to make a new hire. What I'm trying to do is ensure, whether it's pulling levers from a workforce or a revenue perspective, to ensure that we maintain our focus on our target at the top down from a revenue perspective while getting as close to 100% of the expense target to maintain our capacity to ensure we meet these plans. So if we look at Nico, I'm going to scroll to the right, and it looks like we've got him currently at 80K with a commission target of 45K, okay, from a working budget perspective. But we're also going to hire an intern. So let's look at an intern here in this instance. So now we've made some adjustments, and we're hoping we're making maybe a potential dent here and or as well with our expense target, which is where we expect to see the most lift as opposed to the revenue side. So if we hit save here, beginning to see that ability to quickly make adjustments to the plan. We begin to see the impact it did make to revenue, where we're slightly down on revenue, but still exceeding that target. Now we've exceeded our target. Maybe we think this should only be 5,000 or a zero because we're talking an intern in this case. And then if we hit save, we may be just a little bit closer and happy with the plan that we feel we could succeed with in this case. And here we are. So wanted to give you a sense of what active dashboard planning is in the manufacturing space. End users having the ability to not only visually measure that delta and gap that they're trying to attain from a planning perspective, whether that's workforce, revenue, or expense related.